So try to be structured with the layers. So let's see how it's working with the layers. If I turn off the image layer, we could see that there is still two images here that should be in that layer. So let's move them there. Change object layer. What about the bounding box? It's not locked. So if we're happy with the size there, we should lock it. Okay, so I think we're good. We could turn off the bounding box and start to do the main curves. So let's go for a side view. Talking about views, I just realized that the front view is actually the back view. Let's change it to back. Now we could go for the side view and we will try to follow the golden rule number 2, and that is to have the minimum amount of CVs. So let's start with a really simple degree 1 curve here. And I said structured about the layers, so why not put in a brand new layer just for curves. So we could work with that, and we could have it in the bottom there. So let's go for a control point curve, and I just position the first and the last point here, and this will be a degree 1. I right click to say okay to this, and this is just a straight line here. If we click on this one and choose to turn on the visibility of the control points, we could see that there is only in the ends here, and this is a straight line. We need a little bit more of flexibility here. So I choose this one and type in rebuild, and we could see that it's a 1 degree and it's just 2 points here. So instead of 1, we could ask for a 2 degree. And if I go down here, we could see that if I go lower on the point count, it pushes the degree down as well. But we would like to have a 2 degree, and we get a preview there. So we have a little bit more flexibility. Okay. So if we grab this one now, oops, Control Z, and only that point, and move it, we could see that we could come pretty close here. But it seems like if I'm trying to follow the silhouette here, it's difficult to do it on this side here. So I believe we need to add a little bit more flexibility. So let's do another rebuild here. And now I will bring it up to 3 degree, which means 4 points. Okay to that. And now we have a second dot there. And what I'm doing here now is thinking about the flow. Remember, that was the golden rule number 1, the flow of the CVs or control points. So try to have approximately the same angle between the straight line, the hull that is in between each control point. So in this case, we also need more magnetic power in this region here. It's curving more here than to the right. So let's move this a little bit closer in this direction here. And when I do that, means that I also need to move the other one here. So what is happening now is that we start to manually try to figure out what could be a good positioning of these curves here. And this could be quite tedious, but let's say we go for something like that. It's maybe we should go a little bit closer on this side here, and we might need to follow with that one a little bit, something like that. We don't need to be super precise, but the flow is a little bit better. So we are very close to the intention here now. So the second thing after looking at the control points layout is of course to have a look at the curvature plot. So let's do a quick analyze here of this curve. So I turn on the curvature graph for that one. So we have now a display that we also could change the scaling here, and we could also change the amount of measuring points. So if you like to have more of these, you could just add that. Here we can see that it's curving the most here, and then it calms down here, and it seems to be accelerating a little bit on the end there. So depending if that is your intention or not, you have now the opportunity to adjust this. So maybe I realized that I should move this a little bit to the left, because I actually would like it to kind of slow down here in the curvature. So we let it be like that and go for the next curve. And the next curve, that would be the upper one. And we're going for the main surface here. So we're disregarding the top part. So we're trying to think that maybe somewhere around here we should have another curve. And a very good thing to do is to actually try to have the same mathematics, the same number of control points on opposite side. And a very simple approach is actually just to copy this. So if I go for Alt dragging here, I get a copy. So now we have another one that has exactly the same layout here. And we could also flip it by scaling here, so something like that. And we could just roughly position it, and we could also go for another location of the gumball. So let me relocate that to that spot there, and I realized that we don't have any snapping, so I turn on the snapping there. And now we have it there. We could just angle it a bit. So now we have more or less exactly the same behavior as down here. And we could also scale it a little bit in X direction here. And it was very far away, that scaling symbol there, so something like that. And that is just like a starting point here, of course. At this time we need to adjust this more individually. And again, I'm trying to just follow the images approximately. And again, this is not a super precise thing we're doing here, but I believe that is a pretty decent start. So let's have a look in perspective view. So now we have two curves there in space. That looks quite nice. And this is also an important curve, and therefore we should have a look at the analyze here with the curvature graph. So again, I just looking at this, and it seems nice, no craziness there, and the control point layout is good. Good. Then we could continue on to the next mission, and that would be to have the curves in 90 degree, and I go for the back view. You could see that it's difficult to see where to attach on the curve ends. So back to the perspective again. So we would like to make section curves, so why not make a layer called section curves. So now we could also take the opportunity to lock the two curves that we have on screen already, so we don't change them by mistake. Go for a curve, and I will just start with a straight line there and right click to accept that. So if I now choose rebuild, I could go for more points here, and it's suggesting 5 degree with 6 points and a single span. And I think that could be a good amount. Maybe we could settle with only one in the middle here and then have 2 on each side, but let's go for this. And if I choose these in the middle now, we could just bring them out a little bit. If I choose the green axis, and now we can see that these here need to be lining up on the same height to have tangent continuity for the symmetry plane. And there is a nice little trick here to solve that. Of course you could try to move it, but you will never get it perfectly all right without some kind of tools. And there is tools for this. But you could do this. Make a frame, relocate the gumball, and put it in the control point that should not be moved. Click twice in 90 degrees, and this will be now the green direction which I would like to scale. So you go for the scale symbol, and now you can see that the control point is moving. So instead of doing this graphically, you could just click one time and choose 0. And now it's exactly on the same height. Nice little trick there. Let's do it again. So we repeat. So relocate, position the gumball, and then I go for 0. That was nice. So, and these two here, maybe we could push them a little bit from each other. So I go for the scaling in vertical direction, and I could also push it in here. And of course the others should also be pushed in. So I could choose that one and shift click that one. And now be careful so you're not destroying the alignment we did earlier. So just work with these until you find that you have what you believe is an okay silhouette here. And this is good enough. The image is not matching perfectly. This is important though. So when you have this curve selected, we should make an analyze with the curvature graph. And with that turned on, we can see that it looks really smooth and nice. No funny things here. So it's accelerating, calming down, and accelerating again. Good. And also the point layout is okay. So with okay, I mean no zigzagging, and there is the spacing between the control points are also satisfying. If it looks good, it usually is okay. So now we have a good start for the other cross-section curves. So what we could do now actually is to make a copy out of this one with Alt drag. So now we have another curve there, which have the same mathematical approach as the first one. It's a copy. So now we could position this in several different ways, but I will just position the gumball there and just grab it there and snap it. And from a side view, I will make an approximate positioning of the angle. Oh, we can see that it's twisted. Then probably this one is twisted as well. Okay, very important. That is something that we need to attend to. Okay, but let's position that approximately, something like that. And we will adjust this more closely in a second, but something like that. Okay, let's go back to the original curve. Now when we see it's twisted, so if you have turned on the curvature plot and looked in this direction, it would have been super obvious. So let me just show you what the curvature graph shows. Look at that. You could instantly see that it's twisted. So what we would like to have is a flat curve here. It's a huge advantage when we stretch the surface. And again, we could use this gumball to do this quite easily. So I will just pick all the control points and relocate the gumball. So I can put it down there, and I click in the top, and then lastly I click in 90 degrees. And then we could just go for the scaling in this direction. So you see, if I do it manually, we could try to get in the middle there, or absolutely flat. But why not just click one more time, put in a 0, and then you know it's absolutely flat. Isn't that nice? Let's do the same thing with the one here in the front. Maybe we could adjust it first so we know it is attached to the top there. So right now there is a misalignment there. So I will just grab that one and say, hey, you should be down there. Come on. There we go. Come on. From this view angle. Yeah, that was easier when I changed the view a little bit. So now we know this is twisting and turning. So let's just do the exactly same thing. So I pick all these points. I go for the side view. And now relocate the gumball. And I just go in and say, let's have that as an origin. And let it have it pointing to the top point there. And then 90 degree. And I believe that would be okay. So that would be in red. in green we should zero out the dimensions or the position. So scaling for these CVs or points is actually meaning movement. So now we have flattened the curve. So now we have two nice curves there. Let's go for a third one where we believe it is thickest. And of course we could have many more, but the fewer the better. So we need to have one more here to make it thicker, otherwise it will be the same thickness all the way. So I will make an alt drag here to make a copy out of that, and we could also just scale it here, and we could shift scale in perspective. Oops, I had the original one selected, so undo and just go for that one and shift scale. So something like that, just approximately. Let's go for the side view, because now we need to decide where to position this. So it's a good idea to maybe have it where we believe it's thickest. So maybe we would like to angle a bit and move it somewhere around here. And now I'm thinking about the layout here. So the angle here should be changing slightly until it goes in the other direction on that side. So maybe a little bit more of angle here, a little bit more vertical, something like that. And now it just depends where you believe the thickest part should be. So this is up to you where you would like to have it, but let's say this is good enough, and I could just scale it a little bit more, something like that. And then I go back in perspective, or we could probably, I would like to go for perspective. It's easier to find the right dot there. So I just choose that one and just grab the silhouette there. Yeah, much better. And now we could take care of the alignment as we did with the others. So let's just first zoom in here and do the same thing here. So this will be an approximate point here. It will not be absolutely perfect, but we will flatten the curve and we'll adjust everything. So no big deal. So now we have our curve there, and let's just position these control points on the same height. So I just pick these two here and say, hey, you guys should be on the same height with the reference there. So in green direction, zero out, and now that is absolutely flat at that point there. Okay, so let's move down, and here we see it's more to adjust, and we do exactly the same thing again. Repetition is good. Oops, I think I missed the point there, so relocate. That's better. And 90 degrees, and then in blue direction we would like this to be repositioned. So zoom out just to see the change there. So I try to find, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, so we could actually click on that, zoom out and put in a 0, and now that one is perfectly matching there. But remember, we should have the graph as well. So let's go for analyze, curve, and curvature graph, and let's have a look in perspective. So there we go, and now you could see very easily that it's twisting here. So let's do the same trick again to flatten the curve. So I like this Gumbal method here, and I go for relocate, zoom in, and choose that point there, and now I will have the direction of the Gumbal pointing to the top point there, and then in 90 degrees sideways, something like that. Okay, and then we need to scale in green direction. So I just click on green scale 0, and then it will be flattened, but that didn't look like it worked. It's not flat. Okay, so let's redo that. Okay, one more go. relocate, and from there, maybe I was a little bit too quick with the Gumbal, and then that one, and go down here again, and then 90 degrees like that. That should be all right. And now we would like to go, there is 2 scalings here. That's the wrong one. That's the one, I believe. 0. Yeah, now it worked. Okay, good. Let's see what it looks like in perspective. We made a flat line. Oh, isn't that fun? Control Z, and let's do it again. Okay. So we have all these picked, and I go for relocate. Now I'm in perspective view. So I will choose the first point in perspective, and then I will go for the side view. I think it's easy to do it here. And then I go for top view or top point. And we zoom in here and just choose 90 degree. And then we should go in green. So let's see if it works now, finally. And now it worked, okay? So maybe that was good that you could see that it could be a little bit of struggle there. So patience is good, but it's huge. So let's go for the back view here and adjust all the points now. And it might need to be flattened one more time when we have changed the position of all these CVs. So what I'm looking at now is the size, the width here. You see that the images doesn't match perfectly. So we just need to kind of sense the maximum width here. And the rest, it's up to you what you prefer it to look like. So maybe you prefer to move these CVs a little bit. For instance, this one, you could move it in. Actually, we could move both these in a little bit. Yeah, let's follow the silhouette much better. And of course, you disregard the bump and the recess and the stuff. We'll take care of that later. And here we could also, if we like, we could take the possibility to move this out and make it more flat here in the top here to kind of follow the sense a little bit more. So maybe something like that. But now the angle here is much stronger than this one here. So we could also undo and take this one a little bit closer up here, which is mathematically a little bit better. Now it's also a little bit more flat, but now the angle here is a little more smooth between all control points. So maybe something like that. And now we can see that it's curving more here. And then it calms down and starts to curve again. Let's try this. And of course you need to be careful that this is absolutely flat in the top and bottom. So you have 1, 2 points. It's absolutely perfect there. Okay, that was the curves.